dedicated women's league to fill the gap between college and professional soccer. A league that's committed to advancing women's soccer, focusing on the development of the female soccer player during the summer months, elevating the competition to help each player reach that next level, providing high-level soccer for collegiate players, aspiring and former professionals, and international stars. Operating with professional standards because players and fans deserve an exceptional experience. Uniting players that inspire and are inspired. We are passionately growing the women's game. The future is bright for United Women's Soccer. It's time. Be part of the movement.
Good morning on this laggy Saturday morning here in California, where apparently the wind is playing tricks with the satellite. Good morning and welcome to UWS Kickoff Show. My name is Jonathan Ward, Director of Marketing with the UWS, and I am pleased to be joined by my counterpart at UWS, Lizzie Hobbs, who's taking over some of the operations for the league this summer. Lizzie, good morning and welcome to the Kickoff Show. How are you?
Good morning.
It is bright and early here, and it is probably more bright and early out on the East Coast where you are in Maine, also doing some work for Maine Footy. Give us some insight into your soccer background, Lizzie, and how did you get started with Maine Footy?
Yeah, absolutely. I grew up playing soccer. I played for 13 years and then took a little bit of a break in high school and college. As soon as I left college in 2021, I started really getting back into following soccer, was really excited about a year later in 2022 to hear that Maine Footy was coming up here to the Portland area. And really, beginning of 2023, I messaged our director on Twitter and said, hey, looks like you might need some help with your social media. I have some experience. I also have some experience in the nonprofit space since our team runs off of a nonprofit kind of organizational structure. And I've been with them ever since. And so I'm our director of marketing over here at Maine Footy. And so it's been over a year. Last year was our first in the league. And so excited to be back for a second.
First in the league, little slow start this year so far for Maine Footy after their first game. Got stuck with a good, solid New England Mutiny team who were able to get a victory 3-1. We'll talk a little bit about that as we go on the show. Talk about week 1 and kind of dive into week 2 as we're seeing more matches played. So it'll be good. Recap off of last year's Summer of Soccer. We have the Michigan Jaguars, our defending national champions. They will be taking the pitch here soon out in the conference. So far, Pass FC, Michigan Legends, Cap City, Troy City, who's new to the league. They played to a 1-1 draw. Nationals SC, who picked up a loss the other day in a 3-0 defeat. But it's new times here in the UWS, and we kind of get started. Let's recap a little bit about last week. Were you able to be at that match last week in Massachusetts?
Unfortunately, I couldn't make it down, but I was watching the stream, and it was, a hard-fought game. It looked like we were really excited. We had Megan Schulten with a pretty killer goal off a corner, which we'll take it. It was a good first point of the year but they've had a little more training time under their belts now. They just got together, a little under a week before the first match. So I was just talking to some of our players yesterday at a media event that we had. And they're feeling really good going into this weekend, feeling more adjusted and ready to get back on the pitch.
Yeah, so looking back last week, we had Hudson Valley, who came up from UWS League 2. They played the New York Magic, who have returned to UWS after a brief outing. Hudson Valley coming up with a 3-0 win in that matchup. The next match that we saw was Sporting Connecticut, who was in the national finals last year with a 9-0 victory against Worcester. Seeing what Sporting does and how they do it, they've added some fire to that team. Tiffany Weimer still doing her job and making things happen, pulling strings, but adding the likes of Christina Stone and Kylie McIntosh, who's back in the mix up there. She missed the national semifinals last year, but having her as a backline anchor, I think that's pretty good for a Sporting Connecticut side. And you guys see them here in a couple of weeks. Should be an interesting matchup.
Yeah, I mean, they're a killer team. We played against them obviously last season, our first season, and they're a pretty remarkable team to watch just as a spectator. Also, they're giving it their all the entire time. So they were just fun to play against, honestly. But we were proud of ourselves last year. We gave them some pressure. Excited to play them coming up. But yeah, just also some big scoring games these first couple weekends. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, in the first game, the Hudson Valley game, Precious was able to get on the board, score some goals. Sydney Hewer tied in stoppage time. Amanda Palmer, Monty Jenkins, and Christina Stone, obviously for up north there for that matchup. Good way to go. Pass FC scoring some goals with Sophia Mueller. She got a goal and assist on the day. Jocelyn Hendricks scoring the first ever goal for Pass FC. So that's kind of cool. They're acknowledging that. Love to see it. Those are great things. Those are on the offensive side from last week. Defensively, Natalie Kelchner, clean sheet. Caitlin Nolan backline in that 3-0 Hudson Valley win. Simona and Haley Matthews, obviously two good names out there. And then community players of the week, we have Alana Earl. We'll talk a little bit about that. But I think it's interesting to see how our community is starting to come together a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just the difference a year makes from watching the games, across the country last season to now, it really is showing the talent's getting better and better. And, they're recruiting some insanely talented players to come for these teams. I'm really excited to see what some of these teams in Michigan do. I know that, we've had some changes in that division, added some teams. So I'm really excited to see what comes out of there.
You've been working on some of those player rosters for UWS to get them into the amateur system. What are some names that came across your desk that you were excited to see? Any?
Yeah, so I was working on the Arizona FC one, and really, it's just remarkable looking at where everyone is from and where some of these girls are coming from to play in these teams. I mean, I can speak to Maine footy really, really easily, but I mean, having as many international players as we do, I think we have 5 international players, and obviously it's awesome to have a lot of our homegrown players who've played in the Maine system, their entire lives, but they're going off and playing for their collegiate teams, all across the country, Vegas, Florida, but they're all coming back up to play for us. So we're pretty excited on that one. Oh, I'm sorry. I think I just cut out there.
That's all good. What were you saying? You were saying about collegiate athletics?
Oh yeah, no, it's it's really interesting to see kind of the breakdown of, we have a couple players from Harvard. One of them, Jasmine Leshnick, is, originally from San Francisco, who was talking to her yesterday. She was like, I got the opportunity, you know, one of her teammates at Harvard is from here, and was like, "Hey, what do you think about going and spending the summer in Maine and playing some footy up there?" And we're thrilled to have her. But yeah, it's awesome to see kind of where these players are ending up, far from their hometowns, but still giving us some good soccer here.
Yeah, so going back and looking at week 1, you have Steel City FC, a team that is kind of a roller coaster. It's just a mixed bag. You're not sure what you're going to get. They played FC Berlin, winning 6-0. Audrey Bianco had a brace, Mary double on the double, getting a hat trick. Copper Mine United, who is one of those teams that are always going to be at the top of the board. I think Copper Mine is one of those teams out east who is consistently putting out talent. They had a couple of players who have participated in the summer. They got drafted in the NWSL draft recently out of
Yeah,
Florida State and other schools. So they come out with a 6-1 win in Basking Ridge, New Jersey. They played New Jersey Alliance, a new team that came to the league, which was really nice to see. Coppermine kind of starting off. They're always on the bubble. They're never getting that chance. And last year it was Lancaster Inferno, who's no longer with the league. They were able to kind of cement their legacy at the national semifinal. But there's just always always an opportunity. So Copper Mine, I think Buffalo is one of those teams out of the East that you're gonna keep hearing about. Just never know, could change.
yeah,
I'm actually can't say I'm surprised, but New England Mutiny, they're every other year is what you see with New England Mutiny, and I think this year they've kind of got it together. They got a win the other night too. We'll talk a little bit about here in a
yeah,
little bit, but Cap City and Troy City, 1-1 draws. We talked about couldn't find that decisive goal in those 90 minutes, but it's nice to see Cap City back, who was with us 2 years ago, and then Troy City, who's a new team. I think they have some things that they're going to be doing that are big for women's soccer, not just in the Michigan area, but pretty much around the country. Hopefully, they can start to shine some light on what they're capable of here in the next few days. Matches from this week. That Troy City team we talked about played Michigan Legends last night, and Michigan living up to kind of their idea, 6-0 win. That's the one thing you're going to notice about the Summer of Soccer, Lizzie, is that when teams are playing, they play and they put up a lot of goals.
yeah.
It's either a 1-1 draw, 0-0 draw, or it's somebody's going to put a lot in the good old onion bag there.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I think it was two of these games on Thursday. The Troy City Michigan Legends one was a big score in 6-0, and then oh gosh, I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember who the other one was. An 8-0.
Yeah, so Foothills head
8-0, I think, in
Vegas.
Vegas. Yeah.
I'm curious to see how that works out. In the hockey world, when you go to Vegas, teams don't always really show up. But Foothills is a very well run organization. It is business.
Yeah.
It is a business trip. One of the things that I took away from them a few years ago in Ludlow with Lee Tucker, and who I spoke to this week on the weekly. Everything's a business trip. It's unfinished business. They show up. They're kitted out with their polos. They're ready to go. They warm up as a team. They act like a team. They eat dinner as a team. It is a very professional structure. Now, the Canadian League is going to be starting here. I believe it's next year. Troy alluded to, and they're going to be part of that. Hopefully, we don't lose them as a club in our community, but for them to keep doing what they do, and they do it consistently. Now tonight, they hit at 7 p.m. in the desert of Arizona. They got to take on that FC Arizona team. That's kind of regrouping.
Oof.
There's a lot going on there. Tara, who was their coach, has moved back east. So their new coaching staff, new opportunities, see what they have to bring. But I think Foothills, after missing out on goal differential last year, I think they're ready to kind of reclaim their throne in the West. So we'll see what happens there. Other matches.
Yeah, I mean, I think.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. No, I was just gonna say what you were speaking to as kind of their team ethos, and they train like professionals, and they act as a group. That's so great to see. I mean, I think it really speaks to their commitment to their team, their commitment to the league. I think it's definitely something for the rest of the teams in the league to really aspire to, maintaining that level of professionalism on and off the pitch. And so obviously we do not play against them
Not yet.
during the normal season, not yet. But it's great to hear about. And I mean, just from brief interactions I've had with a lot of the folks who, even just run social media admin, are answering the emails from some of these teams that we've reached out to with questions about one thing or another. It's great to see them so committed to that. And it's, makes us feel good about the work we're doing out here to know that other teams are pushing themselves to that same level.
Yeah, also last night, so you had Foothills who on Thursday night, you had Foothills with the 8-0 win. Last night, Hudson Valley traveled to Albany, got the win 5-1 heading into Memorial Day weekend. FC Buffalo starting their season off with a win last night as well against FC Berlin. Not a surprising thing after talking to Buffalo a little bit and talking to Charisma. They obviously have a chip on their shoulder and want to start to kind of showcase their talents up there. A lot of talent going up to Buffalo, or in your case, down to Buffalo, or sideways to
Yeah.
Buffalo. I've been told
Around to
different things
Buffalo.
many times. And then, so to last night we had the Mutiny and Sporting CT, a matchup for two teams that are going to be at the top of the East. New England Mutiny walking away with a 4-1 win over Sporting. Curious to see who perhaps Sporting was missing in that matchup. And then another match that still waiting to get a report from, Steel City FC versus the Erie Commodores. Obviously, last night ending at 4 p.m. my time. I should have that score, so I will check on that. Lizzie, in the
Yeah, I
meantime,
was curious about that one.
so no report. Oh, we have a 3-3 draw coming
Ooh,
across the email. So
all
we have a
right.
3-3 draw for the matchup that saw Steel City and Erie Commodores. Today, one of the main matchups that we'll see is going to be Copa, New Jersey Copa against New York Magic. That kicks off 1 p.m. Eastern. It'll be interesting to see. I keep saying this because I just don't know what we're quite going to get out of some of these clubs. And Copa is one of those ones where you're constantly thinking, okay, they're going to make it. This year's the year.
Yeah.
And I won't say they fall short of the expectation. I don't know if they have. I think they're there. It's just a matter of what team shows up for Copa today
Yeah.
in New Jersey. Another matchup today, Maine footy, Worcester. Are you ready for this one? Is this a home match for you guys?
No, it's not. We're on the road again today. But yeah, we had a great time playing against them last year. And I mean, they're lucky. They've got a great community down there in Worcester. But our players are feeling good going into this weekend. Coaching staff's feeling good going into this weekend, and ready to hit the pitch and try to close the deal. Since we had a bit of a time with it last weekend, so excited to start again, come at it with fresh legs, and then hopefully give our players something else to celebrate this long weekend. So
Shout out to one of my old friends, Joe Johnstone, who heading to high school. My goodness, you're not going into high school. Let's rephrase this. You are heading to high school to go teach and coach volleyball. Um, good guy there out in the Atlanta area. It's good to hear from him. Need to get on the phone and chat with him a little bit. Maybe play some golf here soon. Another matchup that I think is going to be something fun. We're going to kick off in the Midwest. Rockford Raptors, Battle of Illinois against Edgewater Castle. Just in Chicago a couple weekends ago and drove through both of those neighborhoods. They're really, really pretty neighborhoods, and I was really excited to see it because it was my first time in Chicago, and so I got to experience a little bit of everything. And my wife and I went out that way and had good dinner in Edgewater, and were able to kind of witness some of the Rockford area. Tried to catch a match for the Edgewater Castle men, just missed out on that as we were there, but I think it was a great day. Oh man, why did we reset? What happened here? Uh-oh. Says our live recording.
I didn't touch anything.
No, it wasn't you. It wasn't you. No. I'm blaming it on the wind. It is actually really windy here, and everything on my end is satellite now. I don't have this
Oh, really?
internet. Yeah, so everything comes from the cloud. Kind of weird.
Yeah.
So I'm in my barn, and so I have like a satellite that connects to another satellite that's on top of a hill about 4 miles from me. So good times. The things you learn in the farm.
Sure. Absolutely. It's
gonna be interesting. Foothills, obviously, this is going to be an interesting matchup. I'm curious to know what happens if FC Arizona. Foothills coming from Vegas. I know their travel was a little different, and they were jumping to get there. So they had a couple of days of recovery after that matchup in Vegas. And I'll be interested to see how this plays out for them. I think Foothills will win. I think Foothills, the two teams out west are normally SC Blue Heat, who start their season off later this week, and then Arizona or Foothills. Arizona plays high intensity games against SC Blue Heat and Foothills when it's in the desert. Get them on the road, though, changes everything. Road teams in the West are normally not going to get a win. They're not normally victorious because of the length and the distance, I think, plays a bit of a role in that. Whereas with back east, it's not that you're having to travel long distances. Everything's kind of short and condensed.
Right.
So that plays a big role in the way teams play, I think, and they show up to matches. You never know.
Absolutely.
And then tomorrow, our last match of week 2, Erie Commodores, Flower City, 1872, will be playing each other. And Flower City is one of those unknowns, right? You think they're gonna get that one player who's gonna change everything, and they get that one player, but then it's another player that gets hurt, or it's a player who's not able to make a game. So the consistency level, I hope Flower City is able to kind of find a way to grow and continue to improve as a team. I love their community. I think what they're doing for soccer in that community is huge. I love everything about it. Now let's see if we can get some of that to translate to the pitch this year, and hopefully give a run for a national championship. I think that's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, just a wicked cool team. I always appreciate, especially, in my role with footy, they're so supportive of other teams. And I think it takes a really good group of people to be able to, be competitive and want to push and want to keep winning, but still at the end of the day, know that they're supporting, the greater community of the folks in our league. And yeah, that's just, it's a real stand-up way to act, and some true sportsmanship coming out of there. So I'm hoping to see them real successful on the pitch.
Yeah, and that will be huge to see. It doesn't have to happen right away. Obviously, cohesiveness always changes on teams when you have a roster, or you have multiple rosters, and you have players who are doing certain things. I think that's what makes the Summer of Soccer so unique, is that players can fine-tune skills, but they also have the ability to be a college student. They obviously have the opportunity to be a family member and do family-based stuff, and then come back and play. And when you have that, you also have some ups and downs. You have some bumps in the road that you got to fix, because who's to say your best player doesn't miss a day because, well, they decided to go to a friend's wedding or go to a friend's birthday. So, that's the way it should be. Players should have the ability during the summer to hone in on their skills, but also to be able and have an opportunity to be a person and enjoy that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We were just talking to some of our players about this at our event yesterday, and, asking them why, kind of the backstory of why they decided to come play with us this summer. And, what it came down to was, it's a way for you to keep training. It's a way for you to learn from a new group of players and a new group of coaches, but it also gives you some freedom, and you're able to play the game you love, meet a new group of people, but also, you can have a job, you can do an internship. It's just a little more flexibility than they get normally, than during the normal college season. But one of our players, Ane, who is from Paris, was talking about how, she is currently at a D3 school, I believe, but she was talking about how this is such a great opportunity for her to learn about training styles from, players who are normally at a D1 school or a D2 school, see what their kind of training looks like, what their mentality looks like going in, especially for some players who are, looking to transfer to other schools to kind of change the way that their soccer career is going right now. It's a really unique experience. So hearing about it from the player perspective was really great, and just a good reminder of all the benefits that come from them being involved with the league during the summer.
Yeah, and obviously there's other leagues that are similar to what we do, but I think we do it the best. And so hopefully this year we'll be able to show it. National championship will be late July again. Location to be determined. I think we have an idea of where that location is going to be, but we can't share it as always until probably we'll get it out earlier this year than last year. That's for sure. I know we waited till probably 2 weeks before when we announced
it was a real surprise. It was a real
I
keeping
hinted
you
at
on
it
your
all year.
toes.
I hinted at it all year.
We had a pretty good idea going into it, but we all everyone who needed to be there got there.
That's right. If you needed to be there, you were there, and if you weren't there, then you missed out. But this year will be a lot different. I can't. Oh, I want to kind of say where I think it might be, but can't do it. Can't do it. Get in trouble.
You want to gesture vaguely to an invisible map of the United States?
No, I can't actually, because I would give it away so fast with what I would say, and I think I'd have to make almost like a cryptic message on Facebook about something, or wait, Facebook's for the elders, but I would have to do something on the gram. That's what the kids.
You can you can take some tips from Miss Taylor Swift with her cryptic coding messages.
Oh,
there you go.
Everybody right now with Taylor Swift. My goodness. So, yeah, matches today should be good weekend of fun. It is Memorial Day weekend, so a lot of teams decided to play early so that they could observe the holiday with their families and their friends. So that's always a good piece. Week 3 is where it gets kind of busy though. So we'll have a little bit more to talk about next Saturday and give some insight. This week on the weekly, we're going to have Albany. Albany Rush is going to join us to talk a little about what they're going through, what they're looking to do this summer. Trying to get Maine Footy on this week. We have to. They wanted to jump on the 4th, and I'm like, oh, that's that's finals day for school, so it's going to be very difficult for me to pull that one off. But so we'll talk about that the following week. So June 4th. Stay tuned. We're going to potentially have Maine Footy on either in the evening or early afternoon. But Albany Rush is going to join us this week. See if we can get some more teams to jump on the weekly to talk a little Summer of Soccer 2024. Liz, anything to say or add before we jump off and let people get to the FA Cup, Manchester United, Man City, or Champions League final for women, Lyon versus Barcelona? Big matchup out there. We'll see if Lyon can continue to add to their trophy case, or Barcelona going back to back. Ooh, imagine that. Should be interesting to see. But Liz, anything to add?
No, I think we're all set. I'm excited. I think we've got some really promising games coming up this weekend. And I'm going to be getting very creative with my checking in on everyone else's streams while I'm watching our game in Worcester today.
Well, out in Worcester. Liz, let me ask you this. Emma Hayes, good hire? Ooh, threw it at you. You weren't expecting that question this morning.
I wasn't. You know what? I'm excited to see how it goes. I hope so.
I think it's a great hire.
I hope so.
She brings just enough madness in a good way. I think she'll
Yeah.
get some of these players to actually buy into what she's doing. Not sure the previous regime had that, where they were getting the buy-in and the respect. We'll see.
Yeah.
I was reading the
Yeah.
article ESPN put out about Emma Hayes, where she wanted to do intelligence for MI6. I was like, oh, that sounds like a fun little
Yeah.
gig. But then listening to her speak and going back and actually watching a few of her press conferences when she was with Chelsea, I think I'm
Yeah.
I'm ready for her.
Yeah. I mean, I think I don't know, man. I think so. I think it'll be good. I don't want to get my hopes up. I'm excited though. I think after how kind of not ideal our World Cup run was, I am excited going into the Olympics. I love the Olympics anyway, and I think having 2 back-to-back summers of getting to really focus on some great women's football. I'm crossing my fingers, man.
Well, June 1st, we're going to see it. June 1st, she will jump on as a manager. She'll have her first sideline, her first pitch opportunity.
Awesome.
And so we'll see what happens. Well, hey, until next week when we meet again for week 3 of the Summer of Soccer, Liz, I know we'll talk this week a little bit and strategize about what's going on and figure it out. But until then, everybody, have a great rest of the day. Enjoy the FA Cup. Enjoy the UWS Summer of Soccer. And go Lyon. I'm going to say that right now.
Have a good Memorial Day weekend.
And a great Memorial Day weekend. We'll have a post out talking a little bit about that and sharing some, hopefully get some athletes who have stories about family members they'd love to share. So until next time, cheers, everybody.
See you later.